Stygian Outer Gods is a first-person survival horror title where you must brave a derelict town full of monstrosities, supernatural terrors, and chilly weather.
Damn, it's cold.
Developed by Misterial Games, it serves as a follow-up to 2019's Stygian Reign of the Old Ones, a turn-based RPG set in the same universe. Stygian Outer Gods is set to release into early access in just a few days, but its publisher Fulqrum was kind enough to send me an advance copy. A big thank you to them. So let's put on our Lovecraft pants and start collecting bottles to see if Stygian Outer Gods is a nightmare worth having.
No. I woke up.
First things first, let's go over the early access deets. This first build of Stygian provides around 6 hours of gameplay by the publisher's estimation, and features 7 distinct locations. The game is targeting an early 2026 release, and will be available for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series, although early access is only available on PC through Steam. The price for early access is $19.99, and it will be discounted at launch.
Victoria! Victoria! By some cruel mercy, I'm alive.
Set sometime after World War I, in Stygian, you step into the shoes of Jack, a man obsessed with tracking down his missing father. The investigation brings him to the village of Kingsport, essentially a ghost town, full of hideous witches, beasts, and mysterious strangers. With an axe in hand and his childhood friend Victoria by his side, Jack ventures into the decrepit town, eager to solve puzzles and bash brains. Stygian is best described as classic survival horror with an RPG twist. While its gameplay will remind one of titles like Amnesia, its structure sticks close to old-school survival horror titles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. In fact, much of it reminds me of the recent first-person Resident Evil titles, Village in particular. It wouldn't surprise me if that one served as direct inspiration. You explore creepy, maze-like environments, tracking down elaborate keys to unlock elaborate doors, along with acquiring tools and abilities to get past various obstacles. Naturally, you'll encounter foes wandering about that you can take on with melee implements or firearms. However, stealth is often encouraged, as most of them can make short work of you. In between the terror, you can catch a breather at various safe houses where you can save your game, purchase items, assuming the merchant is there, store excess inventory, and craft items like bandages and lockpicks. At the beginning of the game, you decide from a slew of RPG stats, providing bonus abilities that can affect your playthrough. Taking my initial steps, the first thing that jumped out to me was, ooh, this game is pretty. I've covered a fair amount of Fulqrum's games, and this is the first of them that got my graphics card a little sweaty. Built in Unreal Engine 5, Stygian certainly takes advantage of its technical niceties, but that engine don't mean squat if you don't have the right people harnessing it, and I feel like there was some damn good talent on this one. This is a finely crafted world. Textures are sharp and full of great gritty detail, the lighting is beautifully atmospheric and terrifying, character animations are fluid and springy, but what really jumped out to me is how well composed each area is. I can tell the devs went out of their way to frame stuff in the environment, creating views meant to heighten tension or relay visual narrative information or hint to the player of secret places to uncover. It gives the game a more cinematic quality and comes across organically, which only makes everything feel more tangible. Of course, this is a work in progress. You'll stumble across the occasional flaw, a texture that doesn't quite pop, or a model that seems a bit simplistic. Perhaps something that hints at budget constraints. But they don't diminish what is so far an awesome looking game being made by a group of capital P professionals. I mean, look at this merchant twiddling this coin. Look at how that thing just flips and slides between his digits. That is so cool. The downside is that performance is a bit shaky. For the most part, I enjoyed smooth frame rates, but while traversing outdoors, the game was riddled with hitches and brief patches of slowdown, and no matter how much I tweaked my settings, which are ample, I couldn't smooth this stuff out. For the moment, I can forgive this, seeing as it's still early access, but we need some optimizing here.
I want a hell of a house. Wish we knew what's within.
Tiptoeing into gameplay, right off the bat, Stygian presents what I would call a classic survival horror scenario. There's a mansion overlooking the town that you need to get to, but it's locked behind a gate requiring 3 tablets to unlock, which are hidden throughout the mostly non-linear village. Oh boy, here I go exploring. With how dangerous the enemies are, stealth is the way to go, at least until you figure out how to game the combat. More on that later. The stealth system is basic and unlikely to impress a stealth fan, but it works how you need it to. Staying crouched keeps you quiet, and the game has a simple but clear detection meter so you know when you're seen. While basic, it does help increase the spooky tension, especially when coupled with the strong sound design making every creak and footstep you hear while sneaking a jab to the nerves. Distraction is often the best strategy when a sneak-in. The village is littered with glass bottles. Clearly these witches like the party. That are easy to chuck out, attracting the AI to them like a moth to flame. And depending on your stats, you can stealth kill the enemies. Speaking of stats, the RPG system is simple but powerful, and so far the X factor of this game. As mentioned earlier, at the beginning you pick your base stats, presented as a questionnaire, determining things like your starting health and resistances to elements like the cold. But it's the talent system that we need to talk about. Talents are essentially perks, granting a slew of special abilities to aid in all aspects of gameplay. What's cool though is your choice in talents is going to affect your playthrough. So for instance, my starting talent was Speak with the Dead, which as the name implies, allowed me to converse with the litany of corpses throughout the village. Doing this afforded me additional story info, but more importantly, gave me hints and revealed special side quests. Now, if my starting perk was instead Leverage, I would have been able to move heavy objects, granting me early access to certain areas and resources, but naturally, I'd be barred from the advantages of talking to corpses. You aren't locked to your starting talent. As you progress, you will earn more, and be able to choose from an ample pool of them. So despite not choosing Leverage, I had the opportunity to have it later. That is, if I chose it, of course. Now, while I have to see how the talent system plays out in the full version, this has the potential to give the game a lot of replay value, as in theory, each playthrough can be different depending on your perks. It's very cool, and so far my favorite aspect of Stygian. One system that isn't working for me is the sanity system, indicated by the purple circle brain meter there. When engaging with the enemy or looking at something horrible, you can lose sanity, causing your vision to blur and auditory hallucinations to happen. I'll be blunt, I didn't see the point of this system because losing sanity didn't seem that consequential. Despite my screen blurring, I can see just fine, and the spooky audio ain't spooking me too much. If there's other negative effects, I couldn't tell you what they are because they aren't being represented well. Plus, it's not hard to restore sanity by just sprinting to a safe house. I'm tempted to say this is a tacked-on feature that needs more development. However, a supernatural ability you gain called Scry, which burns away spooky impassable vines and reveals hidden stuff, does draw from sanity like a resource. So I'm hoping that there's more to come with this system and that I'm only seeing one small piece of it, because otherwise it's gonna feel like an afterthought. So far, the game is really well paced. Tracking down multiple objectives in this maze of a town may seem daunting, but Stygian pulls you along efficiently, with no one challenge overstaying its welcome and no one area overstaying its welcome, always rewarding player exploration with time-saving shortcuts. It's surprisingly brisk, yet always maintains a slow build of tension. Every hallway, corner, room, shack, you name it, feels well thought out to not only add to the spookiness, but also guide the player along. It's ideal level design for a survival horror game. Unfortunately, I can't say I'm loving the combat. Mechanically, everything is solid. Stygian wants you to feel vulnerable as any good horror game should. Thus, attacks are tied to a stamina bar, meaning the more you swing, the more tired you get, leaving you open. And it only takes a few hits to go down, pushing for more defensive play. The shooting leaves little to complain about. The guns are slow and cumbersome enough for good survival horror tension, but responsive and powerful enough to make them fun. The problem is the enemies. In my initial hours, fighting these ladies was certain death because I would panic and start attacking stupid, draining all my stamina. And honestly, this was a good thing because it made me focus on stealth, which is the wise way to go. But then I figured out that blocking absorbs all damage and can't be broken, and enemies have extremely predictable and unchanging attack patterns. Therefore, combat devolved into block, attack, move on, over and over, and that killed most of the tension and fun of it. To be fair, group encounters are very dangerous and won't allow for that strategy, but there's maybe a handful of times you'll be in danger of that. I should say too, the results may vary in combat depending on what stats and perks you choose as well as difficulty. But then the AI is also underwhelming. As scary as it is to get caught and run away from these evil ladies, they're very easy to escape. In fact, if you run into a building and slam the door, they won't attempt to open it and follow you. At least not that I ever saw. There were times where they didn't notice me and absolutely should have, and one time I was fully attacking one and it could not figure out I was behind them until I got directly in their view. And it also wasn't hard to take advantage of their pathfinding. I feel like a lot more could be done here. I think the enemies need to be more unpredictable and way more aggressive. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to make blocking less forgiving or make it more of a skill-based mechanic. Now, this probably would sour the game more if combat was the most important thing, but it isn't. Honestly, I got more out of the exploration, stealth, and puzzle solving. And while I can't say I understand this story yet, the intriguing cast of characters and world building has my attention. So if this is how combat is in the final version, it's not a deal breaker for me, but I would love it if the developer reapproached it. Stygian makes a solid first impression. So far, it is a straightforward but enjoyable survival horror experience that is elevated by simple yet powerful RPG mechanics and beautiful visuals, held back at the moment by uninspired combat and performance issues. While I don't foresee this pushing the genre forward, I think fans of survival horror will find a lot to enjoy here, especially ones eagerly anticipating Resident Evil 9. But is it worth jumping into now? Yes and no. For $20, this build offers some good value. While there's at least 6 hours of gameplay, most players will spend around 10 or more on a first playthrough, especially if they try to do everything, and the RPG system allows for some good replay value. But as I pointed out, there's some gameplay systems that could use improvement, as well as the performance issues that need to be smoothed out. So if you're dying to play this or just have to scratch that survival horror itch, this is definitely worth your time. But for everyone else, this is likely going to get better and better the closer it gets to launch. So at the very least, wishlist and keep a very close eye on it. What are your thoughts on Stygian Outer Gods? Be sure to let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, and smack that bell. If you want to come say hi, my Discord is linked below along with my affiliate links. I'm Kirk, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.